g'day. How you going? What do you know? We'll strike a light. G'day, g'day. And how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right.
Now we come to the portion of the service before we do our Bible study. We address some end times news and trends that are happening as it relates to Bible prophecy. And in today's update, there's a couple interesting news items that's been going on. And again, just keep in mind there's about four main prophecies that are in play as we speak, that's in the process. One is the destruction of Damascus. Just the other night, more bombs went off close to the airport in Damascus, but we're starting to see more of the Isaiah 17, the destruction of Damascus. So it's just a matter of time before you see that actually being fulfilled. And then, of course, Zechariah 12 with the Jerusalem is that cup of trembling, that burdensome stone. And again, there's a lot of the peace plan that's in place and they're working on it. And that's the other component that we're starting to see eventually that will be a major concern within that peace plan and ruling there. Plus, I believe on the Temple Mount and how the third temple will eventually be rebuilt. I'm wondering if that's going to be a part of this peace plan that the Trump administration might put forth there. And again, some of the information that's coming out from he's one of the envoys, Jason Greenblatt, where they're gonna unload and let the different parties know this particular plan that they have in place. And of course, it's going to get criticized, but this is where they got to work through the criticism and try to find an agreement on both sides. No one's going to be completely happy, and so, but this is something that's going to be developing continually, but also the process and getting that plan for all the sides to buy into it, because we know that there will be some sort of an agreement that's going to be in place, a covenant that the Antichrist will eventually sign in, or more or less reconfirm that. And maybe partly why that's will be implemented is, I believe, from the Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38 war, and there has to be peace and an agreement coming together, so that would make a lot of sense. We need to have peace here. Here's the signed agreement that we need to have. So that's just a speculation, just an idea. So Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38, and Zechariah 12. So those are all prophecies concerning these times that we're living in. There's processes to it, development. None of that's completely fulfilled right now, but you're seeing all those components coming together. All the development with Russia and Iran and Syria. And again, Iran just came out with an information on the Times of Israel that they have between 3,000 to 4,000 centrifuges for enrichment, according to one of their parliament speakers. And so they're still developing all these sort of things. They're saying that they're using it for something else, but we know in the end they're using it for a nuclear weapon. And again, because the Israelis understand what's going on. And within the Times of Israel, a senior minister threatened Iran with an attack if it continues the nuclear development. So they always know what's going on, what's being developed, because Iran will say one thing, but the truth is a whole other thing. And you can never trust the Iranian government, and because of their attack against and wanting to destroy Israel. So this is why they have to be on their guard. On a separate issue, and this is we'll close with this, we're seeing in such epic proportions the natural disasters. Again, we're seeing all these hurricanes all over the world. Currently, there's 7 to 8 major storms globally. So not only in the U.S. area, but also in the Philippines, a typhoon going through there. And again, we hear typhoon, we hear cyclone, we hear hurricanes. It's really the same thing when it comes down to it. Different regions call it different things, but it's really the same component, you know. So their official name is tropical cyclones. That's the official name. But they have distinct terms, depends on the parts of the world that you're living in. And there's different strengths and, of course, different categories. And again, The storm gets its name, and it's considered a tropical storm around close to 63 miles or kilometers an hour. So that's where it starts the process, and it becomes a hurricane, typhoon, cyclone when it gets about 119 kilometers an hour or 74 miles an hour. And then strength 5 category depends on the wind speed as well. So a Category 5, when we say it's a Category 5 hurricane, cyclone, etc., that means it's 249 kilometers an hour. So that's what classifies those, so you have an understanding when they talk about the different classifications, because the higher the classification, the more destruction that's going to happen in its path. The rotation, by the way, of these are different. So in the northern hemisphere, they rotate counterclockwise. In the southern hemisphere, that's more of clockwise. So that's kind of a different component in how you see their development there. Of course, there's different seasons of it. The Pacific Northwest Pacific usually has close to 20 to 30 storms a year during that season, whereas the hurricanes in the Atlantic area, which is where the hurricanes will be in the Caribbean as well, that could be from 10 to 15 storms, so it's not as much, and it's just the weather pressures and things like that that causes it. And again, who decides to name these particular hurricanes and cyclones? Again, it's the World Meteorological Organization that name it. They'll take some names off the list, like, say, Hurricane Katrina, because of the damage that was done, so it's not going to bring up other new stuff to it. So they took certain names off the list when they name it, and some of the different regions, they have its own way of how they name the certain hurricanes. Anyways, but we're starting to see more destruction globally, There's a weather meteorologist. He said in his 35 years of reporting the weather, he's never seen this much going on all at once. So we're seeing just more stuff happening in these end times. And it makes a huge impact globally, not only in the weather-wise, but the destruction-wise, the economic situations just devastate people, devastates countries. The billions and billions of dollars that go into repairing and fixing things up, people lose their jobs and things like that, plus the medically, all the diseases that can come about this. So again, it's going to be crazy times that we're living in, but the most important thing is keep your eyes on Jesus, stay in the Word, and keep looking up. Amen? And that's it for today's update.